Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, Kelly Class and Jill Skeen.
Good morning and welcome to Top Story 7360300. Always the number to call. And good morning, Jill.
Good morning, Kelly.
I don't know why I have the sneaking hunch this morning that there is a button that I forgot to push.
Well, we don't have our Wednesday song,
The
so
video's
maybe
going.
that was it.
We're on the air.
Is my mic on?
Your mic is on. I guess we're okay.
Is the delay on?
It's on. I guess we're okay.
Now I can curse. Beep, 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 beep.
Oh, my.
You know what's missing is because we don't have the hump day song.
Perhaps.
It's Wednesday. You always play it, but somehow, mysteriously, it disappeared from your
I
board.
finally got rid of it. I mean, it somehow mysteriously disappeared. I don't know.
We're going to have to look back at the videotape. What gremlin came in and deleted it?
Anyway, good morning. Hey, busy morning this morning. We got some folks coming in. We'll be finding out about back pain and what you can do about that. A lot of people suffer from that.
They do.
And a lot of people are on disability because of that.
They are.
We also have Ashley Houle and one of the drivers from the Magic Valley Speedway, whose name escapes me at the present, Tony Fernetton, yes. And so they'll be in to tell us about more races coming up this weekend at the Speedway. And at 9 o'clock, we'll have Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall with the State of the City. So
there you go.
Got some other news happenings, too. Of course, we're going to be talking, a little bit later about the beheading of yet another journalist. President Obama says not to worry. We're working on a plan. We just don't know what it is yet.
That's not what he said.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. What did he say?
When you talk about a strategy, he's talking about strategies with other countries and what to do with Syria.
Okay.
And I don't think they've decided to invade Syria and start a war, which...
Hey, a war has already been started. American blood
we've
has
been in it
shed.
For 10 years.
That is an active war.
We've been for 10 years. We've had war.
Let's do something.
They're airstriking them. I think that's pretty good.
Doesn't seem to be bothering ISIS too much. But anyway,
we digress.
We'll talk about that coming up. One of the things that has bothered me a little bit.
Has it?
A big batch of credit and debit card information that went on sale on a criminal internet site Tuesday may be from Home Depot stores and could be linked to hackers responsible for breaches at Target and P.F. Chang's, according to security experts.
Yikes.
And we have a Home Depot store in Twin Falls. So if you have done any shopping there in the last few months, there is a good chance your information might have wound up for sale. The credit card information was offered for sale yesterday on an underground site that traffics in stolen financial information, according to journalist Brian Krebs. And here's one thing I don't understand. Somebody puts up a site that somebody doesn't like or the government doesn't like, bingo, they can take it down. But yet one like this, and I'm sure it's on a foreign land, I'm sure it is, but you would think with our connections.
Or maybe they're trying to get information. Maybe you could go on the site and buy your own information back.
Hey, there you go.
Once you buy it, is it now taking off the site?
I doubt it.
Someone should go. What is it? Krebs on security.com? Maybe I'll just see what this little site looks like.
Well, that's just
here.
his blog. That's not where it's for sale, apparently.
Well, let's just see.
The breach could have begun in late April or early May of this year.
That's disturbing. Because think about how many people in the spring, you're starting doing projects.
If that is true, this incident could dwarf the Target breach in which 40 million credit and debit accounts were compromised over a 3-week period. This latest batch of cards is for sale from the same underground store that sold cards from P.F. Chang's and Target, according to Trey Ford, a security strategist. Home Depot spokeswoman Paula Drake said she could only confirm that we're looking into some unusual activity, and we are working with our banking partners and law enforcement to investigate. The data put up for sale were labeled American Sanctions. Krebs interpreted the name as intended retribution for U.S. and European sanctions against Russia for its aggressive actions in Ukraine. Stolen information from cards issued by European banks that were used in Home Depot stores was sold separately and labeled European sanctions.
Oh, how nice. They divided it
They
up
did.
for you.
Wasn't that nice?
Very special.
You
Good
know,
marketing. Good marketing technique.
I am seriously
I am disturbed.
considering going back to cash.
Well, we sat here when you first said that, and I'm just sitting there thinking, wow, did I buy anything from Home Depot in
That's
April
what
or
I was
May?
thinking, too.
And I'm like, I know I picked up some samples of stuff, but I don't think I bought anything. I don't know. It's very scary.
Yeah, I don't remember if I bought anything from Home Depot. I buy a lot of stuff from Lowe's, but I don't remember if I purchased anything from
I know
Home
the
Depot.
two, you think, oh, is it Lowe's, Home Depot?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess I
it's
could
quite
go back and
disturbing,
check.
but it does make you, again, say, let's use cash.
Yeah. How about you? Are you considering abandoning cards and going back to cash? I mean,
This is so disturbing now.
It is. There reaches a tipping point here where you just think, wow, it's just getting too close to home here. 7360300, top story. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning. I wish these people would put their knowledge to good use for society instead of bad.
That's
I
what
know.
I always say.
But,
They're
you
so
know, and,
ingenious,
This
right?
is from the Russians, though, who don't like us. So, this is...
It doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
I got a question for you. Does one buy stolen credit cards with a stolen credit card?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a good question. How do they pay for it? They
They-
probably have to use. They probably have to use cash.
They did say, yeah,
And
seriously.
do they use rubles or do they use dollars?
I don't know, but they did say that some banks did purchase their customers' cards information back from the website. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on here.
Which leads again to the question: if
Let's
is it
keep
just
doing
for
it so
sale
you make
once,
money,
or
yeah.
is it like something that anybody can buy this information,
Yeah.
even though somebody buys it, it's still there and for sale.
Yeah.
Of course, we are dealing with the Russians here, so I suppose they could. Why would you want to buy anything from them? Because
please.
you could get screwed so bad.
Oh,
So
and
I
then
don't know.
they get your information. So I don't know. It's a disturbing world, and it does make you think, how much cash can you walk around with?
Well,
Maybe
that's
you should just
true
do
too.
traveler's checks.
Yeah, and traveler's checks even aren't. I mean, there are fake traveler's checks, counterfeit.
Well, you get them
traveler's
from the
checks.
bank, and
I was going to. They went on to explain here. The Department of Homeland Security said recently that more than 1,000 U.S. businesses have probably been infected with a recently discovered point-of-sale malicious software called Backoff.
back off.
The malware was first detected in October of 2013 and was not recognized by antivirus programs until just last month.
That in itself is so disturbing.
The next step is to begin. Okay, let me back up a little bit. The real trouble is not the companies, but the credit card companies and banks that aren't introducing stronger security.
Right.
They could simply encrypt the information right at the terminal. That would stop most of the attacks. The next step is to begin using credit cards that include computer chips and require the use of a PIN, as is common in Europe. Similar attacks on merchants will likely continue until we remove the magnetic stripe from being the primary mechanism of data transfer in card-present transactions, according to Seth Rudin. So that little black stripe on the back of your credit card, that's what has your information. In fact, if you swipe that, if you take a magnet and go over that, it will wipe it all out, and it'll make your credit card useless other than just using the numbers.
Yes.
So you know what? That kind of gives me an idea, because if you take a credit card to a store and it can't for some reason read that stripe, they can always poke the numbers in.
They can poke it in.
So,
or you can just ask them, can you please enter it here? Just enter it. Why not? You don't have to swipe it. They can enter it.
Yeah, I suppose, but I don't know whether they swipe it or whether they key it in.
They can hand
the end result still might be the same, because if that information goes to these data terminals, and that's where they're getting their information, other than like the what do they call those? They have swipers now that they're pasting on like gas stations
Oh, yeah.
and such. That now it would probably stop that, but you're out there and have no way to key in the numbers. I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe you do.
I don't know.
So anyway, something's got to happen, and until maybe we kind of protest loudly enough and say, look, we're going to have to fix this technology here, or we're going to stop using our credit cards and we're going to go back to cash. Then what are you going to do? Huh? 7360300, top story. You're on the air.
Kelly, I'm not sure, but when I used to work in retail, when you swipe it and you have all that information, the banks charge you one amount. But when you punch it in and hand key it, I think they charge you more because there's less information, and that's why a lot of them don't want to do that. And you got to watch about going back to cash because if your credit cards get stolen, you can get that money back. When you put cash in your pocket and somebody puts a gun in your face, it's gone.
Doesn't work so well,
that's a point too, I guess.
But at least they only get one set of cash instead of your whole debit account.
Yeah, I know. You go and you make a $5 purchase and say you got $1,000 in your account, they can get the whole McGillicuddy. Whereas if you're walking around with $500 in cash and leave some of it in the bank, I don't know.
I don't know what the answer is.
It just seems to me now like this is becoming an everyday occurrence, and they're already saying that probably more than 1,000 U.S. businesses have been infected and don't even know it yet. This is kind of reaching the tipping point where we're going to have to figure out something.
We should just go old school. Let's just go old school.
Go back to
Use
checks
money.
and cash, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why not?
And I don't know why. I think it's because of the expense that the credit card companies are hesitant to go to the newer technology. But when you
how much
compare
does it
that,
cost? How much does it cost Target in cleaning up this mess? Millions and millions and millions of dollars, and not to mention future customers.
Right.
Because in the back of your head, you're thinking, "Oh no, I think that's still." They said they fixed it, but how do you know?
737 or what's to keep it from happening again? Top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Morning, kids. Burley guy, how you doing?
Oh, good, Burley guy.
How are you?
We just got back from Lake Tahoe. They drugged me there. I didn't want to go. And I thank God I live in Idaho.
How was it?
Well, there's 3 beautiful people, and the rest of them trying to look beautiful. So.
Okay.
And everything is very, very expensive.
Yeah.
Just a lot of people. Very, very pretty. But I love Idaho. When I got going through Nevada, coming into Idaho, I was a happy camper.
Oh, good.
I can relate.
So what do you think about this, Burley guy?
Did you use your credit card?
I think, well, here in Burley, everybody has an EBT card, so it really don't.
Come on, Burley guy.
Well, not everybody. I don't.
Burley guy.
I should because I work for the government, so I'm subsidized fully.
You're going to get in trouble one day.
Hey, you guys have a good day.
Hey,
you
welcome
too.
back.
Thanks for the call. Yeah, this is Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX. And we're back. 7360300 is always the number to call here on Top Story. And we have a new sponsor this week.
Yes.
It's Clearwater Equipment. Actually, I've been driving past Clearwater Equipment for quite some time.
You mean Clearwater Power Equipment?
Yeah, Clearwater Power Equipment. I should stop. Down here it says Clearwater Equipment, but at any rate,
okay.
you get the idea. And I thought, I ought to stop in there and see what they got. Well, they got Husqvarna, the full line of outdoor power products. And they've got Echo, which has been a leading innovator and manufacturer of outdoor power equipment for over 40 years. Chainsaws and stuff like that. So if you need that kind of stuff, or if you need it serviced, or if you need it stored, they have a storage program too. Ask them about that.
That's nice.
I've got that big old Husqvarna riding lawnmower of mine, and I really don't have a good place to keep it other than in my wood shop.
Ooh.
And
which is called your garage?
Yeah, well, I call it a wood shop. My wife calls it a garage.
A garage she can't park in.
No, she can park in.
You can't park in it.
I can't park in it because it's taken. But anyway, I digress. We're talking about. You always do that to me.
Sorry.
We're talking about Clearwater Power Equipment. They're at 252 Washington Street. And you can give them a call if you're looking for something. You want to ask them about their storage program. 734-7767. And they're easy to find. Again, 252 Washington Street or in the old General Building Supply building. Everybody knows where General Building Supply was. They were there for years.
Some people are new to the area.
Yep. And it's Clearwater Power Equipment, the Power Pros. So stop in, tell them that Kelly and Jill sent you in.
That's right.
We have another. What's that?
Well, weren't we going to talk about this thing? How we just had the fair?
Oh, yeah, you're right. That too. I don't know.
You always
There's just
look
so
at me
many-
like I'm so
I know.
what? Weren't we
I am
just?
sorry, Jill.
Are you
I am
okay?
sorry. No, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm
well,
not.
it's fair season. I know we just had the fair, and this headline caught my eye, which it usually, you see something, you're like, are you kidding me?
I got a joke about that.
I'm
but anyway,
sure.
go ahead.
But I digress. A Minnesota woman chows down 93 different state fair foods for Make-A-Wish. She, anything on a stick, she ate. I was impressed that they had 93 items on a stick at the Minnesota State Fair. But anyway, Mandy Colton said she usually eats clean. Not sure what that means. She's a very thin little woman. So you can imagine why consuming 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day on all things fried, sweet, and savory at the Minnesota State Fair left her bogged down and just a little bit slower. She didn't overindulge in hopes of conquering an insatiable appetite, though. She chowed down for a good cause. Kelly, you can do this for a good cause. Why not?
Absolutely.
Go to the fair, eat.
We can get tips from John Pitts, the fair manager, because he kind of does that.
Yeah, she ate all 93 menu items at the fair that were served on a stick during the Falcon Heights event from August 21st to September 1st. That's a long fair, 10 days.
Yeah.
She said she accomplished her goal by eating between, all right, can you believe this one, 10 to 16 different items from various vendors each day. She took a picture of each snack she consumed, shared the images, and uploaded, of course, to social media.
I wonder if she ate it all, or maybe she just took a bite or two.
No, I think she ate it all. By spreading the word on her unique goal, the Twin Cities woman was hoping to raise awareness and funds for the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Well, apparently she did.
Okay, she said Make-A-Wish allows children in the U.S. with life-threatening medical conditions to live out the biggest wishes by funding trips, experiences, and projects around the world. And the organization grants a wish to roughly every 38 minutes to a child every day. So anyway,
well, it'll be interesting to know if her antics actually resulted in donations to the organization.
Well, yeah, I know.
Or just a bunch of social media.
How bad could you feel
postings.
10 days of that? So Colton, she kept a list of all the foods she conquered, including deep fried s'mores, chicken nachos, and teriyaki ostrich. She goes, you only live once, which is why I wouldn't do that. She wrote on the challenge.
The length of time you live is what comes into question here.
She wrote on the challenge's website, I love food and I love the fair and I can. So I'm asking you, why not do it? If I can raise money for a good cause and do something I love, it seems really silly to not do it. Okay, so after finishing her last food on a stick item, Colton said her sluggish moods were well worth the experience. Really? Folks I haven't talked to in years reached out to offer support. She wrote on the challenge website, it has truly been overwhelming the amount of love I've felt throughout this challenge. Not only have people been sending messages and saying hello at the fair, they've also been supporting with generous donations.
Well,
I cannot say thank you
That's good.
loud enough.
Before we run out of time, I got a joke for you.
Give me a joke.
Okay, this guy goes into a bar, and there was this very beautiful lady there.
Yeah.
And she was kind of exchanging glances with him, and so he went over and sat next to her, and something happened. She had a glass eye, and her eye popped out of the socket, and he caught it.
Yeah.
And she was so embarrassed and everything, but they struck up a conversation.
How could you not after that happened?
It turned into a relationship, and finally after a couple of days of their dating and everything, they were just having such a good time. They just clicked together. The guy says, you are just so beautiful. He said, how could you have chosen me? And she said, well, you just kind of caught my eye. 7360300 is the number to call. Coming up here in a little while, we're going to be talking about back pain and what you can do about that. Mm-hmm. It affects a lot of people. We're going to be talking races here shortly, but first just wanted to let you know if you're considering a low and honey loader, and I know we tell you about this every day, and you might think, I don't need one today. And then tomorrow we tell you about it again, I don't need one today. One of these days, you're going to come to the realization, if you have a big feedlot or a dairy and there's lots of manure running around, that you might need one of these low and honey loaders, and then we're going to come on and say, call Pat Hartzell at 280-1167, because he's the guy who can help you out. He's the guy who can arrange it so you can see one of these in operation. He's one of the guys who can sell you the low and honey loader from from Stanley and Company in Jerome, okay? So give Pat a call at 280-1167, and he can help you out. Right now, we have Tony Fernetten with got another race coming up this weekend at Magic Valley Speedway, and you're going to be in it?
Yes, I am in the Intermountain Outlaw Series.
All right. What are the Outlaws?
The Outlaws are IMCA style modified.
Are they the ones with the big foil on the back, or the big wing?
No, most of them have spoilers on the back. They have open tires. The tires are exposed, no fenders over the top of them.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's coming up. What else is going to be racing this? It's a Saturday, right?
This Saturday, yes.
Yeah.
I believe the super stocks are going to be there. The trucks will be there. The Hornets, the Junior Stingers, Thunder Dogs, and the kids will be racing the big wheels.
Oh, that was fun.
Oh,
Now, did you
cool.
watch them last time, race the big wheels?
I did. It's interesting.
Do you think you see any potential race car drivers in the future there?
Well, if I could get my son into one of those races, there would be.
Now, how old's your son?
My son is 6.
Does he like to come to the racetrack? And
He does.
Well, I'm surprised. Is he racing yet? Because we've talked to
we
kids
got like
in
10
here.
years olds
Yeah,
in
and
here.
they said, I'm 10 years. How long have you been racing? Oh, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, It's like, whoa.
My daughter, Samantha Schindler's been racing Junior Stingers for 2 years.
And how old is she?
She's 13. She's
Oh,
won
my.
2 races so far this year.
No
Oh,
kidding.
my
Wow.
goodness. Do you get nervous? I
No.
mean, especially because you drive yourself. Do you like think, oh, no, my daughter's doing this at 13?
No, I'm not scared at all.
You aren't?
No, she has all the proper safety equipment on.
Oh, good. And how did you get started?
I actually got started. My dad used to race.
They all say
Okay.
that, don't they?
Yep,
Cal?
they do.
My dad,
They
my
do.
dad. And look
It's
what
a
you've
family
done. Yeah.
thing. It's a family
The
thing.
cycle continues.
Wow.
So how has it been? You tour around. Actually, you're one of the drivers that kind of tour around.
Yeah, we race in Hermiston, up in Meridian. We race once in Pocatello, but we race 4 times a year here.
And how do you like it here? How do you like this track?
This is my favorite track.
Is it really? You're not just saying that, are you?
No, I'm not.
Why is this your favorite track?
It's the track I started driving on, and it's a larger track than the rest of them.
Because you're from Buell, right?
I am.
Okay, good.
All right. Well,
Hometown boy.
So now we got the races coming up this Saturday. You know what time they're going to be and all that kind of stuff and how much they charge and
I believe the heat races will start at 7. The main events will start at 8. The gate prices I'm not sure of.
Here we go. Well, the gates open at 4. Qualifying's at 6:30, and I think it's going to be $16 a ticket. Military with ID is always free. All events, children 12 and under, are always free with adult, and senior discount $2 off any event. So there you go. Now you know.
There you go.
So you being
I
a
know.
racer, what time do you show up and kind of give us a kind of a walkthrough of what you do before you race?
We'll generally show up around noon to 1 o'clock. Wait for Eddie to open the gates, and
Hope he's
is there
on
a big
time.
is there a big long line at the gate when they show up and open them?
there can be sometimes. But we'll pull into the pits and start unloading the car and getting the air pressures right.
How long does it take to get your car ready to go?
It takes me about probably 15 to 20 minutes.
You probably do most of your prep at home, don't you?
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
Generally, the car's ready to go.
Is there a lot of maintenance to do on these race cars? Now, you do the Outlaws, right?
I do.
Okay, is there a lot of maintenance on these? I suppose it depends on how many people run into you and such, but
Well, there's a saying it goes, the race car's never ready to go to the track.
Ever.
It's just time to go.
yeah, okay. It's never
Do you
ready
still
for
get
time to go.
nervous, Tony?
What's that?
Do you get nervous before you race?
Sometimes. It
Yeah?
all depends on the day, yeah.
So you're looking forward to this weekend then, huh?
I am, yes. I haven't raced in, it's been a few weeks. So.
For those who are thinking about it, is it an expensive proposition?
Depending on the class, the Intermountain Outlaw Modifieds, yes. It's cars can run, and you could get in bottom level car probably 8,000.
Oh, really?
Or if you want to spend some serious money, you're probably looking 25,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Speed
right.
costs money. How fast you want to go?
Yeah, so it's kind of like getting a pickup and a trailer and a motorcycle and snow machines and
Right.
A hobby
right.
is a hobby.
A hobby is a
All
hobby.
right. Well, Tony, we wish you luck this weekend. Thanks for coming in and telling us about Magic Valley Speedway.
Yes, best of luck. There's only a couple nights left from the races,
Yeah,
so people
that's
need to
right.
go out there.
That's
Go
right.
see Buell Man Tony out there, huh?
There you go.
Yes.
All
Hometown
right.
boy.
See
Good
you
luck.
there. And we're going to talk back pain next here on Top Story. 7360300 was the number to call here this morning on Top Story. We're going to talk about something today that affects a lot of people, and that is back pain. And we have Dave Hutchinson, Joel Brown, and Dennis MacArthur from Body Balance Physical Therapy in Twin Falls. And I can't tell you how many people I talk to on a weekly basis who have back pain, and even some of them to the extent where they can't work. So are there statistics of how many people, and I know we don't take care of our backs when we're young. It's like my dad said, if he'd have known he was going to live to be 97, he'd have taken better care of himself, and I think that's part of it. So how many people suffer from back pain? Dave, we'll start with you.
Well, the majority of the people, they will suffer from back pain sometime in their life. And I think the statistics are around 80 to 85% of the people have some type of back pains.
Is it due from injuries, or what's the major cause?
It's the
People
major-
just being stupid?
Old age, yeah, stupidity. Like you're saying, if your grandfather would have known to take better care of the equipment when they're younger, they'd have been a lot better in the older age.
Yeah,
So-
and we just don't do that. When we're young, we think we're bulletproof, and we can lift way more than we really can.
I am bulletproof.
Is that right,
I am
Dennis?
bulletproof.
You are the
Okay.
bulletproof one.
I am.
What should people do to take care of their backs, so that when you say we don't take care of them, what should they be doing to take care of them besides visiting you guys?
Well, be smart in what you're doing. For example, if you're out there lifting things, a lot of times your back injuries come from lifting injuries, and so you want to be careful on how you lift and what you do with those type of things. Another thing is when you hurt yourself, don't ignore it. You find out what's going on with that. And our experience when you come into the clinic with a back problem, the quicker we can get you in, the better we can make you feel better. The quicker you can make you feel better. I was talking to a lady the other day, and she said that if you go to a mechanic and you say, there's something wrong with my engine, and they reach over and they give you a headset or earphones, and you can't hear what's going on, oh, you must be better. It's the
Yeah.
same thing with
Oh,
your
I
back
see.
pain, so if you just take some pain medicines or something like that to try to relieve it, you're not finding out what's going on. You're
What
not
should
targeting
people
for
do
it.
if they have an injury right away? Because they're not going to be able to get in like immediately. Should they put ice on it? Should they heat on it? Should they take an anti-inflammatory? What should they do before they get to see you guys?
A lot of time like you say, the ice is a good idea for that
For the
initial
first
injury.
initial? Okay.
Generally, because if there's going to be any inflammation there, ice is going to help take care of that and kind of soothe that. But again, that's if you've really injured something, ice isn't going to just do the trick there, And so, like Dave was saying, studies have shown if you can start doing physical therapy within that first 16 days of injury or that onset of back pain, you tend to do a whole lot better, a whole lot quicker.
Okay.
So
So what do you guys do? Do you have like the secret formula or something that?
Well, we do have the secret formula.
Okay, good.
But if we shared it with you, we'd have to kill you. No.
Oh, okay, so
Share
you
it with
can't tell
them,
us what
please.
it is. then.
Please share it with Kelly.
The secret formula.
I can turn your mic down, Jill, and I
Please
will.
don't. Oh, I'm sure I'm scared. Okay, go on.
So the secret formula of low back pain is treating what the problem is. Because if it is a disc injury, if it's a joint injury, if it's a muscle injury, if it's a nerve injury, you treat it differently. You don't want to treat a back as if it's a generic back. Oh yeah, let's put some heat on it or let's put some ice on it. There's different things that you want to do with different injuries. And so the secret is to find out what's going on with it and treat what's the problem.
So do you help people with like exercises? Because a lot of times they say if your back is bad, your abs are really not in great shape. It's pulling. What could people do? Do you help them with exercises to improve their back?
That is our major focus, is to show you what you can do to help yourself get better. So are their abs weak? Yeah, you have poor core strength, and that will have an effect on your low back pain. Being inactive has an effect on your low back pain. And you think, oh, but I'm active and it hurts. What do I do? We rid that pain so that you can get back and be active, so you can move more and live more and do better things in that effect.
Dennis, you look like you were going to say
What were
something
you
a
gonna
minute
say,
ago until
Dennis?
you were rudely interrupted by Jill.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, if all else fails, we have Bubba out back, and Bubba can take care of everything.
See, I knew Dennis had
Very
something
good,
important to contribute.
See? Right?
Okay.
He lifts you up and twirls you around and throws you down and stuff. And
Yeah. No, I was just going to add, honestly, that on back pain, one of our receptionists, she says that everybody goes around hulking stuff. And so if you really want to take care of your back, just don't hulk stuff.
What is hulking? Just schlepping it around?
If it's too heavy for you, if it's too far down, too high above, whatever it is, just, your body is, you got one.
You call your husband and you go, honey, can you grab that for me, please?
That's right.
Is that what you do?
I can tell you right now, if she's listening to us in the office, she's laughing her head off because she always says that's what I do. I hulk everything.
Because, Dennis, you're
I
pretty
know
tall.
Yeah, we're always I'm usually up by myself, so if I have to move something, I try it myself first before I realize that, after I break my back that I can't move it, then I have to get help. But we do that. I mean, it's just natural, I guess, to
I think it's
use
men.
ourselves
it's
at
men.
full capacity before we realize that that's just kind of beyond us. And
If
then by then
someone's
it's
around,
too late.
if women are doing it, they'll be like, honey, yeah, can you just grab that? Because I realize it's just too high
Yeah.
or heavy.
You know what
See-
I find, though, is back pain doesn't say, oh, it's only a man's problem.
No,
It's a
meaning
woman's-
that they'll go ahead and pick it up when we'll go, you might need some help.
You'd be surprised.
Would I?
Yeah.
So how should people pick things up? Sorry, Dennis.
I
Go
was
on.
going to say, but you see, women are the cause of most hulking because that's why guys hulk stuff because we know you're watching.
How is that? You're trying to
It's
impress
that,
us.
It's that macho thing.
That's right.
Actually, when I turned 50, I stopped doing that because I realized I didn't have to be macho anymore.
Yeah.
And if you want that moved, you can move it yourself.
It's such a turn on when you see a guy lift something and they go, oh, my back.
we have a caller. We have a caller. So
Okay.
we got 3 people and 2 headphones. So
Sorry.
we're going to have to tell Dennis what the question. Top story. You are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. I heard results of a study that 80% of all back surgery is in failure. Can you comment on that?
Wow.
I haven't.
The question was for Dennis. 80% of back surgeries end in failure.
So on that aspect, I'm not a back surgeon, but as a
Okay.
physical therapist, if I can prevent that back surgery, I do a whole lot better. The person does a whole lot better with that.
Yeah.
And so back surgery should be the ultimate last thing that you ever do. You should, unless your back is completely destroyed in a car accident or something like that, then you have to have a back surgery. But if you're having those aches and pains that progressively get worse and worse, physical therapy is probably the number one choice that you should start to do to figure out how to get rid of your back pain. Because again, not only do we address the joints and the disc, we can address the disc, we can address the nerves, we can address the muscles, all those things that can contribute to that back pain.
So is there kind of a rule of thumb as to when therapy will not work and back surgery might be the only answer? And I'm assuming you would tell the patient, you know what, there's nothing we can do. You're going to have to see a back surgeon.
On that kind of stuff, our guys, they really work closely with the doctor. Because that's not a decision that a physical therapist is just going to make on their own. It's going to be a whole group of people that decide. You're going to have the patient involved. You're going to have the doctor, their surgeon. Everybody's going to get in on that. So that's not something that we would just say, oh, yeah, physical therapy can cure everything. It can't. And so we would definitely work with those people on that kind of situation.
And do you seem to work with them after they have back surgery?
Yeah, most of the time we'll see a person right after back surgery also. Again, it's how do you lift things correctly? What exercises can you do? Because again, a sedentary back is not a good back. Again, you look at the disc itself. A disc is the largest structure in the body that doesn't get blood to it. It's the largest avascular piece in the body. And so what do we have to do? We got to show a person how to make that disc more healthy following a back surgery. So 80% of all backs surgeries fail. I don't see that big of a percentage. I know there are a bunch out there that do fail or that are so bad that even a surgery doesn't help.
So do you see
unfortunately.
people who've come to you who've had like a botched back surgery, or people who say, wow, I should have come to you first? Or have, so is that a high percentage of people who've had surgery that are happy with the surgeon?
There are those people that are happy with their surgery and they do really well following a surgery and all that kind of stuff. There are people that do come in and say, man, I should have come in here a whole lot sooner and should have come in here first. Maybe I could have avoided
Prevented
that
that.
back surgery.
Yeah.
So
Now, I know that, and I'm going back to my childhood here when my dad had a pair of cowboy boots one time. And
Here we go. Here we go. What?
And
Go on.
His
Keep on
his
telling
back started hurting.
yes.
And he finally went to a doctor. I don't know who. This was years ago. They said, take those boots and throw them away. And he did, and his back stopped hurting.
Now you do realize how many people that listen to us that are wearing cowboy boots. All right, Dave, go burst their bubble right now.
I usually tell them, if we can get your back pain better while wearing cowboy boots, great. But high heels, women in their high heels, that can have an effect on your low back pain.
So it's kind of the same thing with cowboy boots because they're elevated shoes as well.
That is correct.
So
I mean, it wasn't a very big.
But even
heel.
2 or 3 inches would affect your back and your whole gait of your walk, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Again, when you start looking at the leg and how it affects the low back, again, hips. If your hips are tight, that has a huge effect on your low back pain. And again, you address those issues, and if you can fix those issues, then you avoid those surgeries.
We got another caller
Okay.
here. Top story.
Hi,
You're on the air. Good morning.
Cowboy.
Hey, I think that I'm not sure if the therapist can address this, but I found that when I had a family member go through physical therapy, that the physical therapist and the occupational therapist were pretty awesome. But I did find that the insurance companies were about terrible to deal with when it came to physical therapy. Most policies limit inpatient care to 2 weeks and outpatient care to about 10 visits, which if you've had a significant thing happen like a stroke.
Well, let's ask him here. What do you find there?
Who's the enemy? The insurance. No, I'm kidding. Are we on the recording? No.
Of course.
Clearly, the insurance
we're live,
companies.
buddy.
Yeah, we're live.
It's going to live in infamy.
Yes, we work with all insurances. We try to get the best for the patient. We have a great biller. Her name's Hillary in our clinic, and she knows insurances inside and out, and she'll get the maximal coverage. The number of visits depends on your insurance policy. Some insurances give you 10 visits, others give you 50 visits. Some don't give you any visits, and so those patients, come in and have to be cash paying type patients, and so.
What do you think how many average visits someone would take to get their back in shape? I mean, of course, there's so many variables, but when you say average, what do you think it would be?
So some of the research, in my experience, and the research would back that up, is that if you can get in quicker with your back pain, by far you require less visits from a physical therapist. In fact, again, like Joel was saying, if you had pain for less than 16 days and the pain doesn't go below your knee, and it's kind of centralized there in your low back, within 2 or 3 visits, we can get you better to where you can move more, live more, you can get back to your normal activities.
Okay.
It's the patients that you're 90 days out, 3 months, 6 months out, they've had that pain for 3 years. Yeah. They're harder because that's a chronic pain now, and it's a whole lot harder to treat that type of pain. Not that we can't, and we don't do a good job with that, but it takes longer to help that person out.
Dennis, did you want to?
I was just going to say that it really depends on exactly what Dave was saying, how fast they get in, and our average is anywhere from there are some things we can treat in as few as 1 or 2 visits, and there's some things that go out to 12, 13. It just depends.
What do you think the biggest cause? I mean, really, do you think it's just more accidents or lifting? What should people do if they want to lift something or hulk something? What should we do? Lift with our knee? What should we be doing?
Get a forklift.
I was going to say, Kelly, what's the answer?
Yeah.
Get a forklift or get somebody else to help you.
Ruin their back? Yeah. No, really, how should people, if just to lift something on a daily basis?
So always, the thing that you want to do is lift with your legs. You'll hear a lot of people say, don't lift with your back. That's correct. You always keep the object close to you. Try not to twist when you lift.
Okay.
And so your back's at its weakest when you're lifting, twisting, and bending. And so you got to be careful with those type of motions and movements to reduce your risk of back pain.
Well, gentlemen, we are out of time. We've had Dave Hutchinson, Dennis MacArthur, and Joel Brown with us from Body Balance Physical Therapy. Where are you at? What's the number?
All right, we are located on Blue Lakes in the Centennial Mall Square, which is 657 Blue Lakes Boulevard North. Our phone number is 736-9011. and we're there Monday through Fridays.
Very good, gentlemen. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to stop lifting now.
Okay.
We got Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall this next hour here on Top Story. Welcome back to Top Story. 7360300 is always the number to call. And welcome back, Jill.
Thank you, Kelly.
I don't know if anybody has noticed it or not, but fall is in the air.
Oh, it's in the air, all right. What's the temperature now?
It's 58.
Wow.
58
Still?
right now.
Wow.
Yeah, and before the cool wave hit, we were in the probably 70s at this point in time. But we are
It's
into
going
September
fast.
now, and we're getting into the harvest season. The fair is over, and that is always the beginning of the cooler weather.
Actually, I love fall. I love the colors. I love the food. I love the I love fall.
We probably have our most stable weather in the fall.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree.
This year
August was not a stable.
No, it wasn't. But August is not fall. Actually, most of September is not. Fall doesn't start September 22nd.
Yeah.
But at any rate, after the fair, I always consider it fall. Fair's done. Okay, it's
so
fall.
whatever Kelly can. That's it.
That's
we
the rule.
need to
I
just
have
change it.
decided.
The almanac has changed. Kelly's rules.
So let it be said. So let it be
We've
done.
said it now.
All right, we have Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall with us this morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning to both of you. It's a pleasure being here.
It's always good to have you, and we've lost your theme song. I'm sure Kelly told you last time. Gremlins came in and somehow wiped off all the songs off of his little.
Extreme. I can't tell you how disappointed I am.
Everyone seems to be now, and he just laughs.
I don't know what
rules.
to say.
It's his board.
This is my control
his
room.
rules.
This is the way we're going to run
Get
it.
used to it.
I get it.
I know.
Okay, so a lot of I know there's going to be some unhappy homeowners who see that the city's insurance company is not going to pay them for the damage done in the floods.
Right.
What is that process, and why won't it pay?
Well, obviously, this was an extraordinary month. August was. We had over 5 inches of rain, which is, again, for our area, extraordinary. It went beyond the 100-year flood. It went into the 500-year flood. And obviously, there are ramifications when that happened. That's a natural disaster, if you will, if you really want to look at it that way. There were a lot of things that happened. We have a process where if folks feel that the city should reimburse them for costs associated with these kind of damages, that they work through our insurance company, ICRIMP. And from what I understand, ICRIMP has denied the claims. And that's the process.
And some people were saying, because ICRIM said it was an act of God, but they said actually it was the sewer system.
Right.
And some in the previous article, wasn't in this one, they said when they called the city said, and they're saying it's backing up in my home, and the city said it's rainwater, and they didn't come out and check that it was sewer.
Right.
Some people think maybe the city is responsible for it, and you have to wonder what could have been done.
I can certainly see that. I think communication was an area that we need to grow as a city. Again, keep in mind this was a 500-year flood, okay?
Yeah.
And
it was originally the rainwater that caused the whole problem.
It was just,
Even
when
if
you
it was
have
the city.
that much water in a desert, consequences. A lot of it was respecting. There's check valves in these sewer systems in the newer homes. And I don't know what year that this was made codified, where you had to put these check valves so that you don't have this backflow issue of sewer coming back into your house. But obviously, there are houses in our community that were beyond the year when that was mandated, and they don't have those check valves, or the check valves aren't working. And really, that is the responsibility of the homeowner.
So should people know about? When was it codified? Do you think?
I don't know that. I can certainly
like years
find that.
ago.
Oh, years ago. Yeah, years ago. Keep in mind, some of these houses are in the 50s
very old.
and 60s.
I know.
And codes change every year. You know, we try to stay on top of those things and make sure that we do that. Just like if you look in some public buildings, a part of the building is sprinklered and a separate area is not, because of the codes when they rebuild or do any kind of remodeling. But anyway, I certainly feel for these folks. I understand it was, it certainly was not a pleasant situation for them, but we have this system that's in place. We are working diligently as a staff on trying to figure out how we can better communicate with people, how we can have more centralized communication, because when these big events happen, people start calling all kinds of different numbers, getting a hold of different folks that might give them a little different information. So we're trying to centralize that more so we get the same message out to folks. And also we're starting to look into some education of our community about these issues, these check valves, and without going too far into this, we're even exploring ways of maybe how the city can go out and start helping these folks figure out if they even need one.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've ever even heard of, I don't know, but then of course we're in the county, so
Right.
I don't know.
Well, you're in the country too.
Yeah.
You have different system there.
We do.
You're not hooked to a main sewer
Right.
system.
So maybe people do need to be educated, like these things have to be in place that it would. So you think that would have helped?
Oh, absolutely.
Stopped it?
Well, I those check valves absolutely would have helped those homes, because homes that had them in that same area were not flooded.
Mm-hmm.
Live and learn, I guess.
We live and we learn. And again, it's really, a lot of people come and say, how come you weren't prepared for this? How do you prepare fiscally or physically for a 500-year flood?
Yeah.
You would not want us to prepare our sewer system and our water retention systems for a 500-year flood, because they would be humongous.
Well, I've lived here almost 62 years, and I don't remember anything like this.
I would agree with that. I haven't been here 62 years, but I've been here for decades, and I don't remember an August like this. Well, the weatherman tells us we've never had one in history, since we've been taking history of Twin Falls, that we've had an August like this.
Yeah. So to try to prepare for something like that, if we're going to try to prepare for everything bad that could possibly happen, there wouldn't be enough money in the world just for the city of Twin Falls.
That's exactly right. And also, if we want to put in place and codify all these different rules and regulations, people would say we're over-regulating.
Right,
so, again, I don't want to downplay the folks.
Because what's going to happen to them? I know.
Yeah,
some
for them,
some just ain't, like $18,000 in day. Like, how would you start? It was sewage.
Right.
Like, what do you do?
Right.
What are these people supposed to be doing? Is there any help they can get anywhere?
Well, I know that we've reached out to them. We put bins out, to help them get rid of some of their garbage and things like that they had to do. I know that at the city there are some resources that we've tried to at least give them information, but it's we're responsible for our own homes.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. Last night, the city council decided to put off changing the city's comprehensive plan for the 66 acres of agricultural land, which is north of the Kimberly Road, as commercial. I know there's been quite a bit of controversy about that. I know as the city grows, there are going to be people who originally built their home in an agricultural residential area, and as the city grows, I mean, this is, some people call this sprawl, other people call it growth. So
Right.
I don't know that there's any way we're ever going to get around this kind of a controversy. It's
Well, I
just
don't think we will ever get around the controversy, because if I buy a home out in the middle of the country because I want to live there, and change happens around me because of growth, it's going to happen. And I think Greg Lanning made a really good point last night. He said, listen, when you built your home in the middle of that farm field, you changed the farm field. Before, it was a farm field.
But it was also zoned residential, and this is commercial. And for people who aren't aware of the situation, it was on Kimberly Road and 3300, and the comp plan for Twin Falls was 660 feet commercial, like the commercial zone.
Right.
And they wanted to basically more than double it to almost 1,400 feet, which would abut next to residential homes.
Really, what was on the table last night was that we wanted to change the water service boundary. We weren't going to go into the zoning last night. However, that was
but
their
that was
intent
outside
later
of the
on.
comp plan too.
Sure, it was. And this is the way I look at the comp plan. It is a guidance. It is not a hard and fast, written in stone. Certainly gives us guidance. It certainly gives us something to look at because of the study. But we need to also be flexible as a community. Last night, the reason that I voted the way that I did, that I thought that
you might want to tell people how you vote, because people weren't there last night.
Well, I felt that we should slow this process down. It ended up the actual motion or the actual endeavor was tabled, so we didn't do anything with it last night about adjusting the water service boundaries and all those kind of things, because we're getting ready to review and go through our whole comp plan again, and it's right, we're on the edge of doing that. So for me, I'm like, Why would we go through the
Right.
gyrations for this piece of property when we're about
Right.
to review everything?
Which is reviewed by the community of
Correct.
Twin, and I was on the comp plan committee.
Right,
We
right.
spent months, did cross sections of people. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I agreed with that. The concern though is that how do we have balance for development and people who do live there? Because part of the reason people live in the Magic Valley is because of where we live, the farmland, and to have buffer zones between commercial and residential.
Sure.
And that's part of the comp plan. Doesn't
It's
seem
part
so
of the-
unreasonable.
Well, it's part of the
because
comp
we
plan.
all have to live together.
Sure, and it's part of the process. But again, I'll back us up a little bit. There was a time when that agricultural land was changed to residential.
Right.
Okay? And so there's changes that take place. And again, I probably have more empathy for these kind of situations than most because I used to live south of there. Okay, and back in the day when they were going to put the big intermodal on 3300, what was going to shut down 3300. That affected me seriously, trying to get back and forth to work, and I had no say in it because I wasn't even in the area of impact.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
So I certainly have appreciation for this situation and others, and I do want to say that I appreciate folks like yourself, Jill,
I came
coming
out-
out last night and sharing your opinions with us.
And the neighbors across the street that weren't aware of it until
right,
yesterday, and they all came out in force. And so, people do have to get involved. They really do.
They really do. And I think as a city, we can probably do a better job of informing folks. And we learned that last night. With this 300-foot rule where we go out 300 feet on notification is a little lacking when we're talking about something so substantial like this.
Especially
where
in the
we miss
country.
a whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we admitted that last
Yeah.
night, and we're going to grow from that. We're going to review that and figure out how we can do that better because if
Yeah.
it affects you,
It
we
does.
want to hear from you.
Right.
We got a caller. Top story. You're on the air with Mayor Don Hall.
Good morning.
Yeah, I want to know how some of this is fair to the landowner. I mean, if a guy owns 20 acres out in the middle of nowhere, and he's, let's say, growing beets, and it generates, I don't know, 10,000 an acre a year, and somebody comes in and offers him $100,000 an acre to sell his land for development, and then the city comes along and says, well, sorry, you can't because neighbors or people out here don't want this development. How's that fair to the landowner? I mean, shouldn't we be able to sell our land to who I want or develop it for the uses we want? I mean, obviously at some point where you live, Jill, out in the country, it was a farm at some point. And what if one of the neighbors out there had said, well, you know what, Jill, I don't think you should have a house there. It should be farmland.
One of the neighbors did, but actually we're zoned agricultural. So you're allowed a house and then you have ag. But, that's why you have zoning. It defines how your city grows.
Mayor,
and I think that's what people do.
Can you hang tight for another
I
segment?
absolutely can.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mayor Don
I think
Hall is
great
with us.
question.
We'll let him answer that when we come back here on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. We'll get back to Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall. After this, yesterday's $100 instant winning name is Michael Green.
Michael Green, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is awesome.
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 Do you have to say it like that?
Awesome. You got to spell it like that,
Yeah.
too. AWESOME. Awesome.
Awesome.
So you go to our website, newsradio1310.com, click on Word of the Day, type in awesome, and listen tomorrow. If you hear your name tomorrow and you played the word today, you win $100.
That's how easy
Just
that
like
is.
We got a caller waiting, and but we had a caller in the last segment asking about the fairness, I guess, of zoning is what it all comes down to. And this is a topic that's been discussed for 40 years.
Well, and it's going to be discussed for another 40
That's
years.
right.
That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where you elect people and you get involved in the system so that we can look at these things. I personally am a private property person. I believe that within reason, you should be able to do what you want to with your own private property. But again, that's why we have zoning issues too, so that it makes sense for the way the city grows. And there's going to be those two conflicting things. It's my property. Don't tell me what to do with it. With the community says we need to do this with this area because it makes more sense for future growth and aesthetics and safety and all those things. And that's why you have elected officials, and that's why it is sometimes really painful. I'll be honest, painful to go through these processes because we're trying to make the right decision.
We have another caller. Top story, you're on the air with Mayor Hall. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Stacy Searle. I was at the meeting last night.
Did your kids get a nap,
you got to
Stacey?
turn.
Might want to turn your radio down.
Yeah, turn down your radio.
I just turned it off.
Okay, great.
Very
Thanks.
good.
Thank you. I just maybe would like to bring up a couple points too. I'm grateful that the issue was at least tabled. And I know one of the arguments against, there is growth, and I understand that we all need business. That's how we all live. And one of the arguments is, hey, it used to be agriculture and then it became residential, and I understand that. However, I think one thing that gets lost in that argument is when things go from agriculture to residential, does it increase or decrease the property value? And then when you go from residential to commercial, does it increase or decrease the property value? Because from my understanding, when you go from agriculture to residential, that property value actually goes up. So when you go from residential to commercial, all the residential areas, their property value goes down. So when the argument is used, I think that the whole picture isn't given. And also, I don't know the last time you've driven down Eastland and you've gone under the railroad tracks and you've been down there where all those businesses are. Anyways, it kind of starts to feel not as upkept. It's not as pretty. And I just think that when you start putting in a whole bunch of huge buildings in one area, depending on which ones they are, oftentimes it starts to feel a little bit slummish. And it doesn't happen within the first year or the second year, but within time, it just degrades that property value all around it. And so I think that those are some points that I think need to be considered.
What do you think, Mayor?
Well, I think when you're talking about blight and those kind of issues in areas, we certainly work on those, especially the URA. That's one of the things that they've worked on intensely and worked on our downtown, because there's some areas that really started looking rough, and so focus on those areas is really important. But I mean, you make a good point. Generally, when you go from agricultural to residential, the property value does go up, of course, because there's more congestion, more buildings, more value on that land. I think what your point was about the when you bring in business or industry or whatever, the surrounding residential might go down, and certainly that does happen, but not always. Okay, but there
Sugar
is
Factory
that
Road is a good example. The home's right across the street from there when you look at them, and I drive it every day.
Sure.
And you think, gosh, is that going to happen to your home if something like that comes right across from you?
Sure. So I think you can probably argue both sides of that equation. That's why we have zoning. That's why we have a planning and zoning citizens that sit on, and they volunteer their time sitting on these boards to try to help make these decisions, and then they come to the city council, and that's why we have comp plans. That's why we research and look at all these issues.
There's never going to be a perfect fit. It's just it's always going to be
and we're human. All of us are human, and as long as we're all human, we're going to make mistakes, and hopefully we grow from those and do the right thing in the future.
How long can you stay?
Long as you want to.
Okay, well, we got some more calls. We got another caller. Whoop, I guess. Okay, we'll see if we can get this call in before the break here. Top story, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, you got to turn on your radio. Okay.
Okay, I got to get rid of my radio.
Okay. Hello?
Okay, well, it seems to me, okay, I get rid of a whole bunch of radios. What it seems to me, am I on?
Yes, you are.
Okay, it seems to me that a lot of it comes down to money. If you have enough money, you can pretty well get whatever you want done. And, with the businesses and with, the farming going away and all that stuff.
I hate to ask you to do this. Can you wait till after the break? Because we're going to go to a break here. Okay, we'll be right back. We got Mayor Don Hall with us here on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call. We got Mayor Don Hall with us this morning, and before we get back to the mayor, I want to talk about Certaset and why it is so cool. There's no moving pipe. There's no borders. This is a flexible pipe that goes out into your field. So when you go out with an implement, say a swather to swath your hay, you don't even have to move the pipe. There's an attachment they put on the header of the swather. It picks up the pipe and lifts it over the header back to the back. So you don't have to spend time and money with a crew out there moving the pipe out of the field before you can go in and swath it, and then moving it back before you can get water back on it. The Certaset is really a new step in technology, and they can tell you all about it at Far More of Idaho at farmoreofidaho.com or 324-3341. Ask them about the Certaset. It's not a new mattress. It is a new way of irrigating.
That's right. I know.
All right. So we got Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall. We had a caller on who's been holding a long time. I appreciate that. Okay, so we got a couple of minutes here, so now you can go ahead and tell the mayor what you had to say.
Okay, I think I'm going to switch gears a little bit. I'm going to ask a couple questions. Do we have any moratoriums on the building or any kind of guidelines on what we build? Like, I feel like we could probably benefit by encouraging people to fix up these older homes rather than continuously building subdivisions upon subdivisions and having so many homes that are empty or going to ruin.
Sure. Let me address that. We don't per se have any moratoriums on homes, but what we do have is water service boundary, for example, where we've said this is our boundary right now because of our ability to deliver our services, and so we're not going to have any growth in this area because of those water service boundaries. And then, of course, we have zoning rules and regulations of what can be built in different areas. We have a comp plan that gives us guidance of what our community is going to look like. And keep in mind, this comp plan was developed by our community.
It was.
And Jill's a perfect example. She sat on that comp plan committee years ago when we went through that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do have those guidelines.
But also, planning and zoning today, the first Wednesday of every month at noon, they're having working lunches. And today they are going over new rules of the PUD, or they have, was it ZOA or ZOC? Or
ZOAC.
ZOAC. So if you're interested in some of the rules, you can come. I went to the last one and did to make some changes with notifications.
Let's just ask the caller. Did you have another question?
Well, I'd like to know when where the lunch meeting is, and what you said noon.
Yeah, at noon at the City Council chambers,
Yes.
And then it's just a working P&Z lunch. But I think people who want to get involved in this stuff need to come and put their voice in.
And ma'am, I would also suggest go onto the city's website, and we have and if you're interested in being part of a committee and have your voice heard, and come to city council meetings. First thing that we do after the pledge is we open it up to the community if anybody has any concerns or thoughts, and we do that the last thing before we leave as well, because we want to hear from folks. So let your voice be heard. Go to our website. You can see all the different meetings, different times, what's taking place in your community.
We got another caller. Top story. You're on the air with Mayor Hall.
Good morning.
Now, the Mr. Hall, you're elected to represent the people of Twin Falls, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so the priorities of Twin Falls City, over, in your opinion, are they elevated above people who don't live within the city limits or areas outside of the city limits? So if the tax base is increased because a business is added to the city, if people who live outside of the city don't want that business built, what kind of effect does that have on the city council who's elected by the citizens of Twin Falls?
Well, first of all, there's 7 members of the city council. We all come from different walks of life, so I think that's a real positive thing. We're hearing from different folks, and I look at. I'm kind of a regional guy. I think what's good for Jerome is good for Twin. What's good for Twin is good for Burley. So I've always been kind of a regional guy. Certainly, I've been elected to represent the city of Twin Falls citizens, but folks come into our community too. They shop, they work in our communities. They might
have businesses there.
They have businesses in our community. So we try to listen to all the voices.
And also, I think it's important because last night the people that came live in technically Kimberly, which
Correct.
is what. How wide's the street? You know what I mean? Right across the way. And I think it's important that, since we are so close, that we do what Twin Falls does impacts Kimberly.
Absolutely.
And
what
we're
Kimberly
impacted
does impacts Twin Falls.
Exactly. And those people are going to be impacted as well. So I think it was important that they came.
And I think it's very important. When we listened to what they said, they weren't citizens of Twin Falls City. They were citizens of our community.
Yeah.
We're all part of this community.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I live out in the country, but this is my town.
Well, I don't want to talk to you then.
Okay,
Kelly,
right.
You live out.
I too. I know.
Okay, I'll tell you what. You've stayed almost the whole thing. We have one more segment. Can you stay the next segment?
You got nothing else to do.
All right.
Sure,
so we'll be back. Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall here on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. We have another caller waiting for Mayor Don Hall. This has been a good spirited discussion.
Well, you know what?
A good way to learn.
It affects people's lives.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's our responsibility.
It is.
To get on here and affect people's lives.
Exactly. It's our mission at Top Story.
Speaking of that, Dave Hansen is affecting people's lives with his new pawn shop. It's called Canyon Pawn. It's on Shoshone Street, right across from Will's Toyota. He's got all sorts of stuff there. And the thing of it is, new store, newly redone. It's just nice and clean inside, and it's just a fun store to go to. He's got all sorts of stuff. He's got fishing poles for those who are lucky enough to be able to go fishing once in a while. And he's got fishing accessories, and he's got hunting supplies. He's got guns in there now. Also, you need to stop by and see how you could win a Savage 17 HMR with AccuTrigger. That's at Canyon Pawn. It's on Shoshone Street. It's a great place to go. It's a fun store just to go in and walk around. And he's got an inventory in there today. If you don't see anything that catches your eye, tomorrow there will be a different inventory. That's the way pawn shops are, and it's a great one. So tell Dave that Jill and Kelly and Don sent you in.
Absolutely.
All right. So we've got Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall here, and they decided they couldn't wait. They said that they weren't sure if they could wait. So, okay. So one of the things I wanted to ask is that the air show asked the city to waive $3,200 security fee or something like that. What was that about?
Well, what that was is it was two things. It was about $800 in overtime wages for our police department during the air show, and then also the rest of it was the fire coverage out at the airport, and so they asked to waive those fees this go around. I guess we've never charged them in the past for the air shows, and it was a spirited debate about that, and I think it's a worthy debate for us to, and I know that we did this 5 or 6 years ago. I can't remember exactly when it was, when we started really looking at, okay, some folks we charge events, and some folks we don't.
Right.
Some of it's because it's been tradition. Some of it I think is almost hybrids too. I think if I'm correct, I think that Western Days, for example, the actual security and everything of the parade, I think we cover, the city does, but the actual security of the event in the park,
they pay
for security measures for that. So it's kind of all over the map, and I think it's time for us to review that and have some solid guidelines, because
do you think that's a bad precedent you just did? Because they're not under the city, the air show,
right,
and they did agree to pay security in their agreement prior to the event, and now I guess they didn't do well. They have a loss. Is that correct?
I think they're going in the hole a little bit this time. They obviously did well on the last one, and that's just the risk of doing these events. It certainly is a subject that we need to take a look at. I think, do we set a precedent? No, because we've paid the security in the past. Okay, we've always
but
paid
that was sort of when they were because we had Jim on, he's a separate entity. But now you have to think, because I know there was a big hubbub about Beckley security. There's probably going to be one with Scott Truax and Eddie Braun about the city being covered for security. So how do you say to those guys, oh, you have to pay for it, but we just wiped it out for the air show? And I think
that's
kind of confusing.
Jill, I think that's the review we need to look at. There are some events that are community events. I would submit to you the air show is a community event. Okay, and it's held at our airport that we share with the county. So it's a city, municipal, county-owned airport, and so that's a community event. The Ed Beckley issue, that's a for-profit business coming into our town and doing that. But I'm telling you, it's a little foggy, and we need
It's
to
a
look at
li- yeah.
this. We need to review this, and we've asked the staff to bring that to us, and I think it's time for us to review that again and try to be a little more fair and concise about what we do.
Yeah, especially because he's a private group now. And, being in Rotary, I look
Yeah,
at
it's a
this
private
stuff like with
nonprofit.
events. So, but you have to say, if it's a community event, and I'm just saying this out here, and they're in a loss, how can you say the community really wants the event? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
why aren't people going to it? Why,
Sure,
they came to the Blue Angels, and I think that was a big draw. But then you have to wonder, okay, if they're in a loss, which they are, and he didn't say how much.
Right. Well, I don't think they know yet.
You're like, then maybe the community doesn't want this event, and should the taxpayers bail them out for an event they didn't want?
Sure, and I think that that's up for debate too, because obviously it was very successful with the Blue Angels,
Right.
and this time maybe it wasn't as successful, and that's the ebb and flow of events. You know that.
How many events did you help run at Canyon Crest?
At Canyon Crest and the Boys and Girls Club, when I ran that, we did fundraisers. Yeah, there's ebb and flows
So
of
I
those
kind
things.
of was like jaw dropped on like, wait, what? Because I'm like, we do events, Rotary, whatever. If we had a loss, could we come to the city and go, hey, will you wipe out our security? And
I think
I
that's,
was kind of
that's a
surprised
fair
you guys
question to
went
ask.
with that.
I think that's a fair question to ask. That's why we want to review this.
You know what's amazing about all this stuff is that it's not only with cities and states, but we're a society of how many decades, how many centuries, and there's still changes to be made.
Oh, there
Well, it's always
will
changing.
be.
Yeah,
That's the thing about
exactly.
change.
That's right.
That's the only constant of change. It changes.
It's the only constant
Isn't it?
is change.
It's change.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was kind of surprised by that ruling, to be honest with you, because I thought, wow, you guys might get a lot of
the reason
pushback
that
on
I
this.
voted for it is because we've covered it in the past, and that we need to review this again and see really what's fair to all these different entities that do events.
So that'll be coming up in the future,
It will be.
probably.
And
give you
we're-
something else to talk about.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it when I come back out.
Well, Don, we appreciate you staying later, and I'm sure our listeners do too. So thanks for answering the questions.
Well, I appreciate being here, and I appreciate those that call and ask the questions.
Yeah,
And
get
it's time-
involved, people.
Time now for the Huckabee Report. You can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed. Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger, financial advisors. And the number is 736-6563. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
What are you going to do,
If you
Kelly?
listened to the show yesterday, you know that we had telephone problems.
We
Well,
did.
we had paid our bill and everything.
Yeah.
I got a hold of CenturyLink and told them the issue, and they looked at them. Apparently,
What was the problem?
somebody on their end changed a little computer setting or
No.
something that shut us down.
No, did you tell them we were supposed to talk to the governor?
I don't know if I told them or not.
Did
but,
the governor know?
so anyway, yeah, and it messed up our interview with the governor, and we were
Couldn't take
we
any
cou-
calls.
So we couldn't take any calls. We couldn't call out, and so we couldn't call our winner.
Yeah.
In the Canyon Crest lunch with Kelly and Jill.
Frank Pepper.
So we're gonna call him now.
Hopefully
All
he's
right?
listening.
I hope so too. Let's see. I'm gonna see. Oh, you know what?
I know. Is our phone
That
bad
was my
again?
fault. That was my fault.
Kelly.
Okay.
CenturyLink, if you're listening. Call us, please.
Let's see if we can get Frank Pepper on the line here. It's a day late, but better late than never.
Yeah.
You know? One ringy dingy. Two ringy dingies. Three ringy ding. Boy, it doesn't sound real promising
Frank?
here, does it?
Frank.
Four ringy dingies.
Hello.
We'll leave
no
him a
one
message.
is available to take your call.
Well, fine.
Please leave a message after the tone.
All right,
Does he
let's leave a
realize
message.
who this is?
Hello, Frank. This is Kelly.
Hi, Frank. This is Jill.
At News Radio 1310 KLIX, you're the winner of our Canyon Crest Dining and Events Center free lunch with Kelly and Jill. We're calling you on the air, so we have your voicemail on the air right now, but we'll be getting in touch with you to arrange a lunch.
That's right.
And it was good talking to you.
Yeah, congrats. Can't wait to meet you, Frank. You're going to love
Absolutely.
lunch at Canyon Crest. They have delicious food. The limo ride's great. And, of course, the company is fabulous.
Absolutely. So congratulations. We'll let you go now, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Congratulations,
All right.
Frank.
All right.
Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye. All right. Well, there you go.
Well,
So,
we tried. He got
Yeah.
his call.
that's right. He got his call. He didn't leave an email or anything. It was just a phone number. So we'll try to get a hold of him.
We'll get a hold
later.
of him.
Yeah, that's right. So, well, there you go. Tomorrow is Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Who we got tomorrow? Are you looking on the calendar?
Tomorrow we have Operation Deployment. We have the cops, and we have Patrick Lee, Novel of the Secret War.
That's going to be a cool. He lives, I believe he lives in Sun Valley area, and he's written a big, thick book about the covert war in Laos. It's going to be very interesting.
Did you get the book?
I did get the book, and he will be here in the studio.
They sent you a book?
They did.
I didn't get a book?
Well, you can read it when I'm done.
The heck?
Hey, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Goodbye, Jill.
Bye, Cal.